the Women Unleashed podcast. Join us as we share with you the confronting, fun, wild, fucked up, epic, and raw side of being a woman in today's world.
Come along on our journey as we dive deeply into what makes us tick and how we create our lives. Nothing is off limits. Welcome back to episode 5
Yay!
of the Women Unleashed podcast. This is Britt.
And Taylor.
And today we've reached the finale of the eating disorder series. How exciting is that?
I know, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really pumped about this episode.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode too because it's my favourite. Like I get to share about all the cool stuff that I learned.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
Yeah. So let's dive on in.
Yes. So I've got a few questions for you, Britt. The first one is, now at the end of the last episode, you kind of touched on how you started sharing with people about what was really going on for you. And I think sometimes people may not know what that looks like or may be discouraged. I guess, how did you get the courage to share, and what did it look like for you? Was it really specific, or did you just share what's on your mind at the time?
Okay, yes, there was a structure to the sharing. In the course that I was doing, the Self-Expression and Leadership program, you look at like how you're being inauthentic in life. So what was I pretending, when in fact what was actually going on in reality. And so I just shared with people that, you know, I pretend that I'm this really fit and healthy person when in fact I'm not. I binge eat and throw up and have been doing that for the last 10 years. And I am creating the possibility of being, it was like beautiful and healthy, or healthy and strong, like just being authentically healthy. I think that was what I created at the time.
Yeah, awesome.
And so I shared with the friends in the program, I rang my family, I shared that same conversation with them. And just, I shared it with my bosses at work, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I'd only just been working there for about 3 months. So yeah, but I had to share that with people.
Yeah, that's amazing. It takes a lot of, you're very brave sharing it, you know, especially when you've kind of, and like you shared about your childhood, you know, you got used to just bottling things up, which is kind of what you did with the eating disorder. So having to get all of that out after 10 years would have been it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
And how did you find the responses? I mean, you did touch on this in the last episode, but just maybe touch on it a little bit again this episode, just to remind people, what was the response like when you did share like that?
People were so generous with their love and support of me. It's just incredible. I did not expect it at all. I thought I was going to be judged.
No, we do love you, Britt.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor. They were just really great with me. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've shared that you've done some courses, the landmark courses, a few of them. Now, did you get or did you seek other professional help or assistance with this? And I guess, was it more specific to eating disorders, or was it any type of professional help as well?
So what I did was I went and saw a psychologist through the EAP service at my employer, and like I think I only went like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Because the shift in my behaviour was so dramatic within the space of about 3 or 4 months that in that, like, I just didn't need to go see her anymore at that point in time. Like, life was great, you know, and there was still heaps for me to work on. But at that point in time, I saw her for about 3 or 4 sessions and just really just kind of gave her an update, like as to how things were going in my life. I didn't really do any therapy per se. But what actually made the difference was in the people that I shared it with, there was 3 people that I made an agreement with, or that offered, and you were one of them.
Yes, I remember now. Yes, I was. I was just going to say, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
But I remember, yes.
Yes.
We did.
Where the agreement was that if I wanted to binge or throw up, or had done it, or was in the middle of it, that I could call you to interrupt that pattern and interrupt that habit. And that was so incredible. Like the first time I called one of my friends, I thought they were going to judge me, but they were just super great with me, and I just had to practice doing that to interrupt myself. And eventually it was like, I didn't want to let you guys down either, you know, like
bit of accountability too.
Yeah, you're all on my team and rooting for me, and you don't make me wrong even when I did a silly thing, even though I knew I shouldn't. And that just really made such a difference. And sometimes I would have to call all 3 of you and to get through to one person. You know, that takes something.
Yeah, it does. Especially when you're in it. You know, you really thinking about it and is awful, but also like when you're starting the process, maybe starting that binge process of you've already started, it would be a lot. It takes a lot for you to snap.
Yeah.
And go, nope.
Yeah, no, this is not what I want to
call.
Yeah, I was walking through Sydney Airport, and I had that was one of the places where I would usually go, like milling around for like cool snacks and stuff.
But a bit of boredom there too, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I called you and I was like, so this is what's happening.
Yep. Yes, I do remember that call, and it wasn't even like you needed to get into detail, or I needed to give you advice or like help you. It's just like you just needed to get it out that is what was going on for you to kind of stop it. It wasn't like we needed to really get stuck in and like dive deep,
be coached or anything like that. It was just a conversation.
Yeah, it was like, this is how I feel right now, and I'm about to, and I'm calling you so that I don't do this instead. Yeah. Amazing that, you know, I think sometimes we make it so much more complicated.
Yeah, because accountability structure, like maybe people go, oh, I don't want to be accountable or whatever. Just phone a friend, man.
Just phone a friend.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to be a millionaire? The phone a friend option.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's what really did it in those initial stages. And so I started sharing with people in November of November of January. Great one, Britt. November 2019.
We got it out.
By January 2020 was the last time I put my fingers down my throat and purged.
Whoa! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very good. That's awesome. Congratulations. And it's what? We're nearly April 2022.
Yes, so over 2 years. And it wasn't that like, okay, January I was done with it. Like I was fully recovered. No. I wasn't. But it's just that behaviour stopped. There was still probably like a handful of binges within the next 12 months after that, of like epic proportion. But yeah, like that was...
That's awesome.
I could struggle to comprehend that that's the person I was.
Yeah. And let's put this in perspective. You were doing it for 10 years. Yeah. 10 years you were doing the binging and the purging, and within 3 months you had, well, not completely had it gone, but you had it under control.
Yeah, there was no more purging.
Completely different life for you.
Yeah.
So what was that like, living without the need to purge every time you binged?
It was I knew there was another way to deal with it. It was still a little bit like, oh, okay, it's been 6 months. Okay, it's been 10 months. And when it got to a year, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, wow, okay. Like,
when's it coming back? Was there a bit of that? Or when is it going to happen?
Probably, in the first sort of 6 to 12 months. And then when I got to 12 months, I was like, okay, okay, like I'm doing life like this. Good job.
You believed in yourself.
Yeah.
You believed you could do it. Yeah.
Really did, and had people who believed in me around me, which is a big part of it.
Yeah, you definitely need the right people in your corner, especially when you're going through things like that, right?
Yeah.
So, it's 2 years on since you have stopped purging, and 12 months, I'd say, from the binging, which is what you've kind of just shared.
Yeah.
Around 12 months. What is there stuff that you still find triggers you even now, or do you believe
100%?
Yeah.
Yep. So I still am living a life where I'm out of my comfort zone. So with that comes emotions.
Yes.
And learning how to process those emotions. So in the last 2 years, I have discovered how to and learnt how to let emotions sit in my body when they arise. Or learn how to actually distinguish them. So when I started sharing with people, my awareness of my behavior grew and grew and grew and grew. And for instance, what it looked like on the court is I would be back at my desk eating the food that I just bought at Woolies that I wasn't hungry for and didn't need because I'd already had lunch, and it was about mid-afternoon, and shoving it down my face. And then the next time I did that, I'd be in Woolies going, how did I find myself here? And I'd be like, all right, well, maybe you could just make a better choice here. And so I'd do that a few times, and then I would find myself becoming conscious as I was walking across the road to Woolies, going, all right, I could probably turn around now. I don't need to go into Woolies.
So you kind of caught yourself, later in the phase, and then it got earlier and earlier as you're catching yourself, and that's, I guess, how you've been able to stop doing those things.
Yeah, because one day, when I stopped on the closest side of the road to me, I went, I've got these sensations in my chest. What are they about? And some people would say it's what they call anxiety.
Yep.
And I remember speaking to someone who was assisting me. They're not a mental health professional, but they've dealt with a lot of mental disorders and challenges. And I was like, what is this thing in my chest? Oh my gosh. And then I learnt and became aware that whenever I was confronted or didn't want to do something or had a fear of looking bad or not looking smart enough, that's when those sensations would arise.
So you got what was attached to, the thoughts that were attached to the feeling as well. So you got to discover all of it together. Because sometimes, I know for myself, I get a feeling in my body and I'm like, what is going on? Where did this come from? So you kind of have to recall what was that thought, or what's going on here to make this happen. And maybe share a little bit more, because you were talking about, testing out your body and understanding that. So that is the process you're kind of sharing there, isn't it?
Yeah. It just, I'm so blown away by how that happened, just the process of stopping yourself earlier and earlier and earlier. And
early enough to even know where the feeling in the body started, which would have probably started the whole process, really.
Completely. Yeah, because there's an emotion, and if you don't do some breathing or let out a cry or let out a scream or let out whatever's there, then it was going to stay there, and then you're going to develop a habit to not feel that because it's uncomfortable. And as a human being, you're actually supposed to feel stuff. If you don't, you're numb and you're not alive.
Yeah, which you've shared that the eating and the purging were actually part of making yourself numb, right?
Yeah, the eating, I would eat when I was had a happy emotion or when I had a sad emotion. So yeah, I couldn't deal with the extremes. So I just wanted to stay in the middle.
So do you find some of these feelings were actually foreign to you?
Yeah.
Really, like actually, when you broke it down, because obviously you started it being in Woolworths to now being on the other side of the road, and that's when you realised you actually had a feeling. So you were kind of numb the whole way walking to the shops, right?
Yeah, completely, yeah. I just wasn't present. I was numb the whole way. Yeah, you just smashed it. Yeah, exactly. It's not switched on at all. Just
So, and I guess it just points out or makes it clear to others who are, and it doesn't have to be an eating disorder. It can be anything that you're doing that is probably not serving you or looking after yourself.
Yeah, like going for a smoke or, drinking alcohol excessively.
It's binge drinking, right?
Yeah, binge drinking. Yep.
All those things. And it's not about stopping it completely. It's about catching yourself as early as possible. And each time you would like to think like you did, Britt, is you would catch yourself earlier and earlier and earlier to the point where you would catch yourself on that thought.
To the point where I'd be sitting at my desk going, oh, there's a feeling. Oh, okay, well, what am I doing right now that I'm not wanting to do? That I'm resisting.
Yes.
And
you weren't even on the road then. You're still at your desk.
Yeah, I was still at my desk, It was great. Woohoo.
It's amazing.
So, productivity increased, definitely.
I bet.
I wasn't spending time eating or milling around the shops to go find yummy food.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure your bosses would have loved that.
I don't know how I was effective beforehand, but I think I just spent a lot more time at work, possibly. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably doing a bit of
I didn't have
mindless
a life.
eating too.
It was just like work, gym.
Eating.
Yeah.
Can be quite consuming, can't it? So I guess you're still managing those feelings that when they arise, making sure that you breathe, maybe share if they get a bit too much for you at the time.
Yeah.
And you're just still managing. It's just an ongoing process from what I can hear.
Well, yeah, like the word managing sounds like there's something to like fix or do or like be in control of.
Yes, and, okay. Yep.
What I'm going to reframe it a bit. This whole
process
please
do.
has been about letting go of control. So
yes, that makes sense.
From January 2020, the last purge, I stopped tracking my food on MyFitnessPal. Stopped using the scales. Stopped counting my steps. Stopped wearing the heart monitor. Stopped a lot of things that were controlling how I looked, what I ate, how I felt, all of that stuff. I let go of it. I stopped exercising weights every day and went to some high intensity. I went for periods of yoga for a couple of months. My food, I ate mashed potatoes for like 3 weeks for lunch because they were so tasty. And that was it.
Yep. So you kind of refreshed your relationship with it being healthy. That it kind of is like you took it all back to kind of nothing to rebuild it all again into what you wanted it to look like and to what felt, I don't know if I want to say like felt good to you, but what works.
Definitely. And it just one after the other. Like it was scary to not use the scales at the start. It was scary to not.
They're not very nice sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I just had to trust that. Okay, this is the way I got to go. So I let go of a lot of stuff. I'm still letting go of stuff, and now when emotions come up, like to give you an indication of my awareness of emotions, I actually went back to seeing a psychologist last year, the start of last year maybe, or the year before, whilst also seeing a psychotherapist that does somatic experiencing. So I just want everyone to get like just how head on I tackled this. I was still doing landmark programs, learning how to self-reflect, seeing a psychotherapist once a fortnight, seeing a psychologist on the off fortnight.
Oh my God. A lot. You really went in and put your all in, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to get this thing because I want to be free. And it was probably about 6 months ago where I went, oh, crap, I didn't even know, like, anger, sadness, happy, all that, like, their emotions. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
So when they came up in my body, because I couldn't name them, there was nothing I didn't know how to deal with them.
Right.
So now when they come up, I'm just like, okay, I'm feeling sad. I just let the sad be there. I don't have to do anything with the sad.
No.
You know? And then the same with the anger. And I cry a lot more now. Just let out cries when it all gets a bit much and doesn't mean anything.
Just releasing it,
Yeah.
I guess, from your body.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel really good after a cry. So, yeah, it's been...
It's really interesting you talk about, I don't know, do any of us really understand what emotions are without doing proper... Like, I know I get feelings in my body sometimes and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I thought everything was good. Or, you know, and there's a bit of, like, right and wrong feelings, I think, as well, you know, or should...
Well, there was a lot of anger is bad and sadness is bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those lower emotions are not okay, really. Shouldn't be feeling them. Yeah. Avoid them, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Which is probably, you know, and I'm no doc, but that's probably also why some of the eating disorder came in, right? Because you just weren't dealing with stuff, so you're eating it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's exactly what it is.
I think we all do it with different things. Some people drink. You know, have a bad day, I'm gonna just drink.
Yeah.
Or other things. You know, we all have our way of coping sometimes that maybe isn't the most self-serving.
Exactly. We sure do. So, yeah, I feel like I've covered broadly.
Yes, I think there's more you could go into, but I think this has been really good for people to understand it. Have you got, I don't know if advice, maybe coaching or a suggestion, like a call to action for people out there right now that may be struggling with an eating disorder? What would you say to these people, or what do you want to leave them with today?
Yeah. So I'll speak to people who binge first. You are the person that puts the food in your mouth. Nobody else does. And that's whether you like it or not. It's a choice you make.
Yep.
And what you have to confront is that you've not been very nice to yourself. You've been mean to yourself. And you can choose to be mean, or in any moment you can choose to love yourself and give all of that up. And the same applies to behaviors that restrict your eating. Again, I'm no professional, but like wherever you have a say in the matter, you've got a choice to do or not do, or stop doing or start doing something. And it's all possible. You just got to believe in yourself. You just got to have a want that's bigger than the life that you currently have right now, and people around you to support you.
Beautiful. I think that's the best place to leave us today. Thank you so much, Britt, for sharing your journey with us. It has been very enlightening, and I think it's hit home for a lot of us out there. Thank you.
And again, if you are confronted by this episode or the last few, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Britt.Falanis, Furlanis. We'll put it in the show notes. Also, go to the Butterfly Foundation. They have a really cool section where you can share your story.
Oh, amazing.
I shared my story there, and a lot of other people have. So whether you've got a different kind of disordered eating, you can probably find yourself in there, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Britt. We will speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.